From the Middle is a founding member of the Odd Pods Media Network.
Oh, for the love. Sorry, just clearing my Mountain Dew hole.
I got my phone hole cleaned today.
That's where you keep it? You're so cerebral and you're so developed and evolved. From the Middle after dark over here.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to episode 85 of From the Middle. We are three middle-class guys living in the middle of America, in the middle chapters of our lives with a point of view somewhere in the middle. If you're tuning in for the first time ever, we're a comedy and culture podcast here out of Columbus, Ohio, and we just enjoy talking about the things we like to talk about. And sometimes that's movies, sometimes that's sports, sometimes that's about video games or just whatever's going on in our lives. And if you're tuned in on YouTube, you'll already notice we have a guest and a fourth chair today. I'm very excited. My good friend Harley is on with us today just to go along for the ride. Harley, you want to say hey, buddy?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Stoked to be here. First time, long time.
I'm so excited. It's been far too long. We've worked together before and had to look at each other's ugly mugs every day. And that hasn't been the case for a long time. So it's so good to have you on and see your face, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, man. I miss seeing you inside. I've seen you outside. I really can't wait to see you inside again one day.
I know that'll be good. Seeing people inside buildings.
There's less light inside.
Yeah, I've sat the most recently. I've dropped things off at your house or picked things up or sat on your back porch with you and your very cute little daughter, your newborn. And so it's good to have you. And Harley's going to join us as a fourth chair today. And I'm very excited for us to talk about all the things we're going to talk about anyways, and for Harley to hang out with us. So this should be fun. And I also want to say welcome to our new listeners. We have new listeners in 3 new countries. If you're tuning in for the first time, we have our podcast analytics, and I love seeing new little country flags pop up for where folks are listening. So thank you to our new friends listening in New Zealand, Sudan, and Switzerland. It's super cool to have folks all over the world tuning in to From the Middle, one person at a time, probably.
Somebody's listening from the Swiss Alps right now.
Right now, they're downloading our podcast, and it's super cool that one person did that. So thank you. We're glad to have you.
And Dylan usually likes to tell us a favorite stereotype about people from each of those regions. Yeah. But we have to shout out our friends in New Zealand, the Rambling Geek podcast. They reached out to us a while back and said that we could make fun of them however we wished. But they said they have good sense of humor, so they're okay with it no matter what we say.
Yeah.
We'll try to fix that. Yeah.
So Dylan, go ahead. Episode next week.
No, Dylan usually can't contain himself. One thing that we've learned about Dylan is that he hates everybody. He hates all people. He's got a lot of fear inside of him.
Wow. Look, this was not a segment I ever asked for, signed up for, or ever approved.
Here we are. I mean, but it's always just kind of been there.
Look,
right?
I have nothing bad to say about the people from New Zealand. It's the land of Lord of the Rings and Tamira Morrison.
I know, but before Lord of the Rings, tell the people what you told me about
Hold on.
About everyone in New Zealand.
Are you about to spew hate on a culture on MLK Day?
No,
that's the plan right now.
That was 2 days ago.
This is what week is it? Yeah, it's MLK week, and I have nothing bad to say about the people from New Zealand. I've seen some fascinating food documentaries that take place around New Zealand and Australia, and I've got nothing. I have no bad stereotypes, but that's how the segment always starts. Now, the people in Switzerland, I got lots of things to say. You people better buckle up, all right? Yeah, you can pretend to be neutral, but world history remembers, okay? World history. No, I'm kidding. And as far as Sudan, it's funny. I sometimes I'm generally good with geography. Sometimes I have to look up exact locations. I knew Sudan was in Africa, but I remembered it being referenced in the documentary series Long Way Down, which follows Long Way Around and has a newer series, Long Way Up, with Ewan McGregor and Charlie Borman. And I remember them prefacing their trip through Africa, like people were warning them for like terrorism training, and like warning them and preparing them for like, you need to do terrorist training, kidnap training, and all this stuff because, ooh, scary Africa. And those guys just gushed like the whole trip through Africa, and especially places like Sudan and other countries. So I'm sure Sudan is lovely. I have nothing negative to say. Again, the Swiss, whole different thing. I'll save my beef with you for later, but no, we appreciate new listeners, and even if you're Swiss.
Just to be clear,
obviously we're joking. We love all of you. And thanks again, you guys. If you haven't checked out the Rambling Geek podcast, check it out. They are a geek culture podcast as well, talking at a whole new level. I just listened to their first episode, and they're on a whole nother level with their understanding of geek culture. So you have to check it out. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and just to be clear, Dylan is actually one of the kindest, sweetest guys that you'd. I think I've said it before that one of the kindest experiences a person could ever encounter is disagreeing with Dylan, because he gets nicer. It's the way he was programmed.
Conflict resolution training, right? How many upset people have you had to talk off a ledge? Especially keyboard warriors, right? Thanks, Kendall, buddy. Checks in the mail.
Harley, can you confirm this? Would you agree with those sentiments?
Yeah, I've tried really hard to get under Dylan's skin, and every time I try, he just deflects that stuff. It's just, get that one out of here, get that backhand, and then by the end of it, I feel better about myself. And somehow Dylan still isn't upset at my position, no matter how outlandish I try to be.
Yeah, that's because under Dylan's skin is a titanium alloy.
Being robotic helps. I think at one point we were even debating that your position had to be close to water is bad for you, essentially, is what you were arguing. And I'm just like, here I'm listening to this, like we're made of water, and I'm going, I don't know, man. Like, I'm pretty sure we're supposed to have water. Anyways, it's good to have you on. I love it.
Yeah, man. Good to be on. Let's see if I can get under your skin on this episode.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. So I have to say, we had an awesome guest last week. If you didn't check out that episode, go back to episode 84. Katie from Kindness Batters joined us, and that was a lot of fun. We didn't talk about football playoff, and I think some of us needed time to heal a little bit from that one in this part of the country. And so we don't have to talk about it, but do we have any quips or one-liners or thoughts we want to share from the national title? Harley, you can start if you got anything you want to share.
It was so exciting to watch us boat race Clemson. And I did not expect to go in. I didn't think we were going to beat Alabama because they were so good. But when it went the way it did, it just I had such low expectations anyway, and then it just hit differently, and it hurt more than I was ready for.
Yeah. Corey, Kendall.
My only thoughts are sometimes you just got to give it up to the better team, and Alabama showed up. Emotionally, the Clemson win felt more significant because of the tragic losses we've had to them over the last couple of years. But I would agree with Harley. I was like, hey, we already had our big win over Clemson. This is just like a whatever game. And then to watch Najee Harris and Devonta Smith, I don't care how he pronounces it, it's Devonta. Those guys are just beasts. And then with Mac Jones, they refer to that offense as the three-headed monster because of those guys. And that's what it felt like. It felt like we were devoured by a three-headed monster. And at some point you just go, good job, Bama.
Yeah, there's teams that hate each other because for whatever miscellaneous reasons they do. I feel like, and maybe this is easy to say because we just lost and this is the position I'm supposed to take. I feel like we dislike or hate a lot of teams, but I think Bama is more of a respectful hate. And maybe even that comes from their way a little bit. Like, they were clearly the best team this year. They were clearly the best team in that game. and Clemson felt like the national championship a little bit, I think, for a lot of Ohio State fans. And you can't have a chance at the title unless you get into the playoff and you get into the game. So I'm glad we were there. No one will really remember that we got blasted by Bama, but they will remember that we blasted Clemson on the field. And so that felt really good to get that win, show that Clemson is not our kryptonite, and at least play in the national title game. It wasn't 38-0 or whatever.
Didn't we say a handful of episodes ago that this was the asterisk year anyway, that we were just going to go,
that's what I was going to say. Yeah. I'm surprised that you brought it up at all, Dylan. This was
well, look,
for everybody except for Bama. This was going to be the year that, whatever. There wasn't really a season, was there?
I guess it's important for the listeners to know that I'm not the kind of person that's going to hype the season all year till we lose and then just shut up and crawl in a hole. Like, look, we owned it. We were by far not the best team on the field. Even if a couple extra players had showed up that day. I do appreciate, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, but a reporter interviewed Najee Harris like a couple days after the game, and it basically said, it looked, what you did to their defensive line, it looked so easy. How did you so easily run over their whole line? And he was basically like, what the heck are you calling easy? Like, they beat me up. Like, I was dead. Like, that was not easy. You guys are crazy. So I appreciated the heck out of that line, because that's kind of how I would have felt as the reporter and the Ohio State fan. Like, you ran all over us and destroyed us. So it was nice to hear that little quote, but I think that's it. It felt important to wrap up the season since we thought we weren't even going to get one. I played a playoff out on PlayStation 3, simulated our own season, and then we got part of one anyway. So I felt like we had to put a neat little bow on it.
I agree with almost everything you just said, Dylan, except for a respectful hate for Alabama. I feel as if I've just been bullied into submission by them, and that I have no other choice but to just bend my knee and acknowledge that they're better. And I hate every second about it, but here I am.
Yeah. Even after we beat them last time, like, it didn't feel, I guess I wasn't as frustrated as like multiple Clemson losses, because the last time we played Bama, we won. So I don't think I felt as frustrated, because I'm like, okay, we got you last time, you got us this time, and that score of the last time we played them in the first playoff was closer than the game really was. We really held control most of that game after the first quarter. So I don't know. I get it though. You don't have to like it. It doesn't have to be mutual respect. It's the SEC and the Big Ten.
Yeah, dude. They won. They're better. That first game that we had, when Urban beat them, was incredible. I'll always remember where I was during that game. But dude, Saban's just so dominant and he's so good. And we had Urban Meyer, who's the next best thing, and it was still like, doesn't matter, dude. Saban just doesn't quit. And so, man, I'm happy. I was really, really love seeing Fields this year. It was a blast. And maybe one day Nick Saban will retire, and other college teams can have fun.
Can have a chance again. I struggle like that with like the Belichicks of the world and the Sabans of the world. It's like these dynasty teams where they're just such a well-oiled machine of winning and domination, and you just like you have to not like them because of that alone.
Yeah, it does. There's these eras that come across, and we're in the middle of Alabama, which has been going on for a long time. That it's just it doesn't. I mean, sometimes it's Ohio State that's going to challenge them near the top. Sometimes it's Clemson. Sometimes it's whoever. Sometimes it's Notre Dame. But Alabama is always the team that they're contending with, and it's been that way for our entire adult life. It's a little monotonous. Been before Alabama, that was USC, right? With Pete Carroll, just year after year, it's always USC and Ohio State, USC and
Texas. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, we can move along unless there's any other parting thoughts. But I felt like we had to put the bow on the gift and wrap up the season, even if the whole package is on fire. Do you guys have any updates since I did our new listeners in other countries?
I recently started trying showering at night instead of in the morning. Is that a thing?
I don't know.
I almost
Any
always
questions?
shower at night.
Yeah. Okay.
So what inspired the change, though? I'm very curious. And do we really want to dig deep on this one?
I don't know. That's up to you. Yeah, he asked what's new, and that's how exciting my life is. Decided to shower at night instead of in the morning. My entire life I've been showering in the morning. It's been a part of my wake up routine.
Do you use it as a vehicle to wake up? Like I get in the shower.
I thought so. I like that. That's definitely what it was. But I don't know. Over the course of the past couple of years, like my life has changed, and I haven't been showering as consistently in the morning. Sometimes my shower has been coming later in the morning, or whatever. With
Do you
kids
feel groggy because of that?
I did, but then I think I got used to it, and so then I was like, honestly, like we washed our bed sheets and put fresh sheets on, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna shower now, and did that. And so I'm doing that now.
Best part about showering at night is you can crack open a shower beer while you're doing it and not feel weird about it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Feels weird in the morning. At night, hey man.
In the morning,
Tuesday
my
night.
shower whiskey is. I'm an alcoholic. Yeah,
Right. Totally different at night.
that's
awesome.
it's my mouthwash.
Okay, Corey, you got anything?
Yeah. So something kind of embarrassing happened last week, and two of you have gotten the preview story. Harley, I'm excited for you to hear this and get your thoughts. So I'm like a wannabe sneakerhead. Like I really appreciate kicks, especially J1s, Air Jordan 1s, the retro 1985 Jordans.
Got the
Best
band
shoe,
Jordans.
best shoe ever made.
And in a previous episode, we talked about how what do you call secondhand retailers are ruining this for people who would love to get their hands on a pair of J1s, right? So these companies, like within 20 seconds, the shoes are off of Nike's website. You can't even get them anymore, right? So then they go to GOAT or StockX or whatever. So I told you guys about that a handful of episodes ago. But I found out at what time the shoes hit Nike's website. It's at 10 a.m. Eastern. Now I'm ruining it for my future chances of getting a pair in the future, but it's 10 a.m. Eastern for those.
Hands off, New Zealand.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the picture. So last Monday morning, hold on. I'm going to share this. I log on to Nike's website and I see, tell me when you guys can see.
Yeah.
So I see this pair of shoes on the site and I was like, oh, those are sweet. That royal blue is like my favorite color. And so like stylistically, they look just like any other J1. But
do you have any J1s now?
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
I have the Cyber Mondays, which are all black with the white sole.
I don't know that I'm cool enough to pull off that shoe, and I was curious if you felt like you were cool enough to pull off that shoe.
No, I'm not, but it's a step in that direction.
All right.
So then I noticed this little subtitle. It's Air Jordan 1 high, because I want the high tops, but it says Fly Ease. And I'm like, I don't know what Fly Ease is. I'm trying to get my daughter into J1s, and she just happened to walk in at that time. And it says, hurry and place your order. And I'm usually a size 11 and a half. There was some 12s available. So I threw them in the cart and I was super excited to get them. So they show up to the house a few days later. I was going to do an unboxing video. That's how cheesy I am and excited I am about these Jordans. So I've even texted a few buddies ahead of time, all cocky, like, hey, just pulled the trigger on my second pair of J1s, like to a couple friends.
Yeah.
Who would appreciate such things. So they show up and I'm doing some further research on the Fly Ease. So it turns out a handful of years ago, a 12-year-old kid with cerebral palsy wrote to Nike and said that people with limited abilities should be able to wear Jordans too. And the features that I was looking at, the fact that they unzip to the heel so you can slide your foot in, and then the stretch across Velcro laces became more relevant to my new purchase.
Just like MJ wore them, dude.
So now I'm like, I just stole Jordans from the handicap. These are designed for people with limited abilities who cannot otherwise tie their shoe easily. And then I'm flashing back to when I was looking at them on Nike's website, and there's a video showing of how they unzip and the laces strap across. And a dude has like a carbon fiber prosthetic leg. And I'm like, I can't wear these. So I text you guys and Dylan goes, who's going to really know, man? And I'm like, anyone who would otherwise appreciate the value of a pair of Jordans is going to know that these are designed with people with limited abilities. I can't wear it. Kendall's like, just don't wear them with your jeans tucked into the top. Just like pull your jeans over top. So so embarrassed.
They still look different though. Like the lace mechanism, whatever that part of the shoe is called, where the holes for the laces, that still looks different even without the zipper side.
So fortunately, I'm 2 miles from a Nike outlet store. And so I throw my son in the car, figure it could be like a fun little father-son outing. We go get a Starbucks and return daddy's shoes. So I take him to the counter, and the young girl at the counter, mind you, this is an outlet, so they never get any of the retro shoes or anything like that. She opens the box, and all you can see is the side without the zipper. And she goes, oh, snap. And I go, no, it ain't like that. And I told her the story. I'm like, I had to return them. She's like, yeah, I get it.
That's funny, man.
And it was such a humbling experience to go from like bragging to just a few close friends to like, you just stole from the handicap.
Yeah, like you were that guy who was like on their website at 10 a.m. to make sure that you could get these shoes, so that some kid with cerebral palsy couldn't. That was Corey.
That was me.
When you first sent a picture to myself and Dylan, like my first comment was like, dude, that's awesome. Oh, and those are fancy ones too, because they looked different. Right,
bro, you got the special zipper ones. Let's go.
I didn't know that the Fly East thing was a thing, right? So I didn't know, like, but I know that there's been special edition Jordans out there and that kind of thing, and I just knew that they looked different. So I just thought they were fancy. Like, oh man, you scored something cool. And then it was like, I don't know, a half hour later or something, you're like, hold up.
I remember before I understood what the intention of this design was, I was bragging to you guys like it was a feature. Like,
I know. And I was buying into it because I was like, yeah, tying Jordans is the only bad thing about wearing Jordans.
Oh, so I'm sorry. I returned the shoes. We're good now. Man, that was so funny. Just like me, an amateur sneakerhead, wannabe poser. Love it.
I've been trying to get my hands on a pair of Yeezys for a while. I'm hoping to get ones that are just all zippers. Just zippers everywhere, dude.
Wouldn't surprise me if they exist.
I haven't found them yet.
I have to mention Kendall's joke because, again, they were the royal blue. And he goes, do they come with a matching placard for your car? In the same royal blue?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Good for you. All right. I do have another thing I want to make sure that we talk about because it's very fresh. Harley, do you have any updates before we move on? Anything?
I went to Tennessee last week.
How was that? What'd you do?
It was cool. I went to the Biltmore Estate. You guys heard of it?
Yeah.
It's insane, super cool. We stayed in this cabin that was hanging off of a cliff. It was built into a cliff overlooking the French Broad River, which is pretty cool. However, it was built by some hillbillies. And so you have to walk down the side of a cliff, like 80 steps to get to the cabin. That's no big deal. But they also built a lift for your luggage. And so there's a lift that takes you down the side of the cliff and up the side of the cliff, which is a nice feature. And I get on it, and I realize that it is running with a household air compressor, like the one you have in your garage, and just it's counterweighted with a concrete slab. Like they're just like, yeah, man, I got one laying around. We can use that, no problem. And so I'm on this thing, and like, let's be honest, I'm not going to carry a bunch of bags down 80 steps. So it's worth risking my life for. But I'm working my way down, just thinking something goes wrong. Like I'm going straight into the French Broad River. Like it's done, man. I'm flying down the side of this mountain. And so other than that fear in the back of my mind, most of the trip, I had a great time.
That's cool. When you first described a house hanging off of a cliff, I'm picturing like this Frank Lloyd Wright, that era. And then you're like, designed by hillbillies.
I mean, it was like upscale hillbilly. I mean, it was like nice, but hillbilly, bro, you're in Tennessee.
Yeah.
Do you eat anything special? I'm going to always ask about food.
Oh, bro.
Yes.
So on the way back, we stayed in Lexington. We split the trip up, stayed in Lexington, and I found this restaurant called Carson's, and I had the best salmon I've had in my entire life. It was incredible. Where it went wrong is I looked at their menu during lunch hours. I was like trying to find a place to go with Mackenzie. It was her birthday. And I was like, hey, $18, 25 bucks a plate. Like, that's a nice dinner. We get there and it's double. It was double that.
Double.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Double.
Yeah. And so certainly wasn't prepared for that. Now, did that change the way I ordered? Of course not.
No.
When in Rome, get the expensive salmon dish. And it was very much well worth it. Super good. But my wallet was not excited afterwards.
Yeah. And world first, no one has ever used the phrase when in Rome in regards to Lexington. So that's fantastic.
Dylan is a historian. So
yeah, I'm glad that we got that to premiere here on the show. I know a few things. So
Dylan said at the beginning of the podcast, newborn. I didn't realize you had a newborn.
She's not a newborn anymore. It's 7 months now.
Okay.
She's about 55 pounds, I think. And she is just cruising around like crazy. She's yelling at me every chance she gets. She is an absolute riot.
Yeah. Ton of fun. Newborn, when I saw her and sat with you on your patio, it felt like.
Gotcha.
Yeah, she was closer to a newborn then. She has a bunch of Finley's old toys, thankfully, and a bunch of Finley's old clothes. And so loving life, man.
She's looking.
She probably put on 40 pounds, it sounds like, since you saw her last time.
Maybe.
Yeah. That COVID thing has really been hitting her. The COVID 40.
And I'm really jealous of your monthly update photos of her, because if it's okay if I share the photo, the type, not the photo itself, but every month you get a picture of her on the empty half of the inside of the lid of a pizza box, and her age is the number of pizza slices remaining. And I'm jealous of that process, because that means at least once a month you're eating a whole pizza just for the sake of the photo, which I'm sure is just a snack at that point. It's not your actual lunch or dinner. Bravo. Yeah,
you would think that we'd be eating it, but we actually force feed it to her, which is why she's so big.
That's that's the thing, man. You guys need to like read a book or something. Get this all straightened out.
With all the toppings I see on the pizza, that might explain the 55 pounds. So
yeah,
right.
Mackenzie and I were thinking what we're going to do for future kids. And she had the suggestion of donuts for another one. So diabetes is in my future.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great. Not the.
I'm going to start. I'm going to start doing the pizza thing for me every month.
What are you going to keep track of?
How many months I've been alive, and I need to make sure I have that many pieces of pizza.
Yeah. Are you going to lay on the ground on the pizza box with just a diaper on too?
I'm going to get naked with just my diaper.
Yeah. You're going to need a diaper after that much pizza, by the way.
Yeah, well, maybe not after that much cheese. I might need a
balance it out.
Siphon.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
It's been nice knowing you, dude. This has been a fun episode. If you're gonna start that tradition, I can't imagine we're gonna do another one together.
It's once again, I would like to apologize to my father-in-law, who I'm pretty sure listens to this show.
So sorry. I want to do a quick promo for our mutual friend. I said at the beginning of the episode, I've worked with Harley. We also longtime friends of the show will know we've had Jeremy Kester on as a guest, and Harley, you're a friend with Jeremy as well. And Jeremy just dropped a new podcast, Renaissance Radio. I think we've got the promo for that, so we're going to throw that in here real quick. And I think it's great. We're going to throw that in. Go check out the episodes, rate, review, subscribe, all that stuff. Kendall, do we have that queued? We can play it real fast.
Oh, it's ready. Here it goes.
Perfect.
I just want to say you did a very good job. So good job. It's that thing where you're actually kind of smart. Things you say make you sound dumb.
Yeah, we both do that.
What's that called?
Nope. Yeah, but you're a little different, guy.
Stop saying sure. Oh, it drives me crazy.
Are you seeing clear? Are you seeing clear?
I think most people just ignore the tough questions. This isn't Minecraft. This is real life.
You are hilarious.
That was not the dog, Dad. That was you.
Yeah, to solve this, we have to completely ignore the main problem.
That makes literally no sense to me. I just want to die.
And that, my friend, is one of my favorite things about you.
Super slick ad from our buddy Jeremy. But I think I recognized your voice in there. Harley, is that true?
You caught me, dude. You totally caught me. That was me in there. Yeah, all the voices were mine.
Yeah, beautiful. You don't have to spoil it, but did you get a chance to guest on Renaissance Radio?
Yeah, we did a couple episodes together, and they were a bunch of fun. So I have no idea when they're going to go out, but stay tuned.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So like he just debuted with 2 episodes this week. I listened to him, and you ever get that feeling that like you might have planted a seed in somebody, or at the very least, like you feel like that you were a little bit of an inspiration, a little bit of a coach, maybe to somebody, and then they start doing it, and then in like 2 seconds they're better than you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like they eclipse you on their first episode.
That's right. And I listened to it, and it's like a smart podcast. It's like the smart kind, man. And he's still funny because it's Kester. So it's like Kester doing a smart podcast, and we're over here using words like phone hole.
True. It's true. Well,
that's all. Congratulations, Jeremy Kester.
Yeah, good job, man. We're really excited for you.
Yeah, and Harley, I had to mention it because I know you know Jeremy, and he's a total crazy goofball, and we both love him to death. But I know you got a guest on it, so I had to bring that up because I can't wait to keep hearing more episodes and hear your episodes with him as well. So everyone that's interested, definitely tune in for that. And tune in for Harley's episode. I want to hear what you have to say about your guest spot on there. We're going to take a really, really quick break here from one of our network friends, and we'll be right back here on From the Middle.
Hey there, we're BFYTW Podcast. I'm Pantsless Aaron, I'm the host, and we are 3 silly people playing very silly games for fakey points that don't count for anything. Our permanent team captains are a veteran and a podcaster, and a veteran podcaster, it's Stevie.
Hey guys, it's Midnight Smoke here. I love being funny, goofy, and I'm here for your entertainment.
And his permanent opponent, my oldest friend and a gamer and a storyteller, it's Jorge.
Hey guys, Jorge here, HH_Empire, and I am the logical voice to this Maelstrom of Chaos. Sometimes.
Well, if you like silly people playing silly games, then you want to come hang out with us at BFYTW Podcast every week. That's BFYTWpodcast.com.
So like what'd you talk about on Jeremy's already better podcast? And does he do things that we don't do?
So let me tell you one thing about how in Jeremy is on this podcast. I love every second of it because one, I get to be on it, and like doing a podcast is hard. Like what y'all do is not easy. Being a guest is awesome. So I get to be on Jeremy's podcast like kind of often, and that's so great for me. But secondly, the dude got all this crazy sound stuff, like he's making a mixtape like Kendall is. And we're taking a work call today over Google on his podcast mics, bro. He set his podcast mics up to his board and then was able to connect it into Zoom. And we're straight up sitting there like we're on a talk show while we're having a work meeting. And it was just like, gotta have good audio. This is the only way to do it. And so anyway, that shows you how invested Jeremy is into this podcast. So on mine, we talked a little bit about, I think we got into some like behavioral economics. We talked a little bit about negotiation, I think. We talked a little bit about sports. I seem to talk about sports every chance I get. So we talked about some sports and a lot of other fun stuff.
Well, thanks for dumbing it down to come on here. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
But does Kester talk about constipation as a side effect of too much pizza?
I've not heard him use the word phone hole as an example. So
there you go.
I don't know, dude. I've had just as much fun. So
you don't have to say that. You don't have to say that. I'd really rather you not lie to our faces. Not cool, man.
All right. So one thing we absolutely have to talk about, you texted me the other day about WandaVision, which as of this episode releasing, episodes 1 and 2 have dropped. And depending on when you're listening, episode 3 is very close. We can do a spoiler-free version. If you want to do spoilers, just throw that out there. And Corey, you just watched episode 1
right before we logged in to this call. Yeah.
And so I'd love to talk about that, but I thought the conversation that we had when we first started, Harley, when we first started hanging out at work or whatever, you were kind of burned out on the MCU at that point, right?
Yeah, man. I was like super burned out. I would probably say I was one of the larger critics that I know of the MCU.
Yeah. And so 2 weeks ago on the episode 2 weeks ago, 83, we had Michael Watson on again. And he's great. Check him out. Go back, listen to that episode. Go check out all his social channels. But we were talking a little bit about COVID and how we missed a whole year of MCU. And I think he says it at the end there, maybe 2020 was the year that the MCU needed to take a break, take a breather, all of us take a break, and then come back into some totally new content. It's kind of weird how ending on Spider-Man Far From Home was kind of the perfect thing to end on. Can you imagine if Avengers Endgame had been pushed back like 2 years and we were waiting for the finale of that 2-part movie? So like Far From Home was kind of one of the perfect things to end on. The world is kind of back to normal. And now here we are with WandaVision, which is really different than anything else, than anything else we've watched up to this point. So what happened between critic of the MCU? How did you feel about a year off from the MCU? Did you care or not really care? And then how did you feel about WandaVision?
So 2 big things happened for me that brought me back into the MCU, like with excitement. The first thing is Infinity War blew me away. So, I went into Infinity War. I'd gone to see every Marvel movie in theaters, and every one of them I left just feeling okay about. None of them I was in love with. I left Infinity War with my jaw on the floor. I also wasn't very plugged in, so I didn't know it was a 2-parter going into it. So I was like, oh, what? So anyway, that got me really excited. And then Endgame was great. And then once COVID happened, I had all this downtime. And so I rewatched all of the movies with my mother-in-law. And I don't know if it's because I watched them in order, if I was watching them at home, so I had a different perspective. I don't know what happened, but doing that really ignited my love for it. And I became a big fan again. And so that's how I went from a 0 to a hero. I'm sorry. I'll leave. I shouldn't have said that.
Fine, Herc, keep going.
So anyway, I think the year off was beneficial for sure. Especially starting back with WandaVision. I know Black Widow was supposed to come out, but I feel like starting with WandaVision is just it's a much more interesting place to start. And so jumping back in with just such a fresh take got me really excited. And that was my favorite thing about it is I watched this with my mother-in-law too, and they always have old TV shows on in their house, like Leave It to Beaver and the Andy Griffith Show. And they were loving it, especially that first episode, because it felt like an episode of Leave It to Beaver. And so I just thought that was really cool that, like, you know, my 88-year-old grandma was like cool with the show because it felt like one of the ones she watches all the time.
Corey, you just saw it.
Yeah, I mean, I know they're messing with me, but I don't know what they're doing, but I like what they're doing. It's really fun. Yeah, there's all these nods to, I mean, the first episode is very reminiscent of 50s television, like Harley said, and then episode 2 is almost aping a lot of television shows that were popular 10 years after that. So stylistically, they're doing a bunch of really cool things, and it feels very authentic for the shows that they're mimicking. I'm trying hard not to not there's any really big spoilers. I mean, you can tell from the trailer that they're going back in time and mimicking old television. So nothing really crazy spoiler wise, but just beautifully shot. It feels very much like those shows. And again, I don't know where it's going or what's going on behind the scenes. If this is something that's happening in her head or she's projecting or some torture she's being subjected to. But anyway, it's cool. It's different. I really appreciate the creative sort of risk that they're taking doing it this way. I'll post a Collider article to our Facebook pages and stuff that goes in depth, and it points out and calls out every nod that they're making and explains sort of some of the TV tropes that they're exhibiting in each episode. That's really, really well done and thoughtfully written. So I'll post that. But yeah, it's something different.
Yeah, and I even saw some people talking about how even the number of cameras and camera angles stylistically are on point with the type of television, and purposefully, if there's a break from that sort of reality, that's done on purpose. And it's really interesting. And I don't know, we're certainly not going to answer this question today. A more geeky podcast can discuss it. But like, I think it's interesting the amount of talent and the things that they're doing on a TV series, and how similar TV has to feel to making movies right now, especially with the streaming platforms. And then you see it's been reported that Ethan Hawke is going to play a villain in the Moon Knight MCU series, and how that you just run through the list of these like A+, like Oscar only type actors that are joining the MCU. And on top of that, it's an MCU TV show, which is crazy. So like the lines are heavily blurred between TV and film right now. And I think people have got to just be looking at some of these projects, like Doctor Strange 2 is probably going to be pretty dark and crazy. We're talking about Blade, seeing Blade come into the MCU, and Moon Knight and She-Hulk, and it's going to get weird and cool. And the quality of casting has just not dipped whatsoever. I mean, Brie Larson was coming off of like Oscar buzz with Captain Marvel, whether you like her or not. That's just a fact. And so it's really cool. I'm excited to see where the rest of the season goes. Somebody asked Kevin Feige at Marvel about how many seasons some of these shows will be. And he basically remarked with no I'm not going to say specific. I can't say
specificity. It's cool.
Yeah. What you just said.
Specificity.
Specificness. He basically said some of these shows are going to be just one season and done, because that's all the story they need to tell. And some of them are going to be multiple seasons. So it'll be interesting to see with all these projects. It makes sense now that some of them might only be 6 to 8 episodes and they're done, essentially 1 or 2 movies worth. And then some of them might go for 2-3 seasons. So I'm just interested to see where it goes. I think WandaVision feels like a really cool way to break back into the MCU after a really long time away. And I wasn't like blown away by episodes 1 and 2, but I was just really enjoying how different it felt. And so, but knowing it was MCU. So anyways, I had to bring that up because we were just texting about it. And Corey, you weren't even like that excited Like,
yeah, I don't know what it was, because I guess, I mean, I just didn't know what the angle was, but once you're in it, and they do such a good job of immersing you into that era. And then, like you said, Dylan, the times when they push from multicam, or they go from that sort of era specific style to something that's relevant today, and they're doing it for a reason, or things that are shown in color, they're showing things in color in a black and white world for a reason. And so you start trying to put that together. So there's almost like this weird sensation while you're watching that what you're seeing is false, and you're supposed to be focusing on, like, they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes, and it's trippy in what they're trying to do as you're watching as a viewer. You're like, okay, something's up here, and I don't know what they're doing, but I like it.
Yeah. It's like 98% I Dream of Jeannie, 2% horror film. But up to this point, it's been at least teenager appropriate, if not kid appropriate.
Yeah.
And so, something dark is kind of happening underneath what you're seeing roll out on camera.
But I appreciate Kevin Feige's response when he talked about, like, we'll do as many episodes as we need to. For the same reason I appreciate that they're making episodes as long as they need to be. There's no like 42-minute cutoff. If we're done at 36 minutes, we're putting a premium on story, so we'll stop at 36 minutes. If it needs to be a 52-minute episode, just like they did in The Mandalorian, then that's where we'll stop. So I just appreciate that, and we'll see where it goes. It's kind of fun.
I love that they're releasing episodes weekly. I miss weekly TV. I love it.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I was just saying today, I don't miss it. I love the binge era because I can binge it.
Fight.
Dylan, put your shirt back on.
Yeah, this is great though, man. Because like
under your skin.
My thought is like I can binge it, forget about it, and then like right before Mando season 3, I'm gonna binge seasons 1 and 2 again, and then watch season 3. But I don't mind. I mean, I don't mind that all the episodes are there all at once. I do think you have a little bit more of like oh, it's over, like 3 days after I just binged a whole season of a show. What do I do now?
Yeah. And my kid still doesn't know how to ride a bike.
That's right. Oh, Kendall, I'm so glad you're such a good dad. So yeah, I get why people like weekly, because that teaser and just being pulled along. But I don't need it. I don't miss it personally.
It gives me something to look forward to. So I find myself going, oh, sick, there's a new Mando out today. And I'm like super excited about it. And it was also just like, as a kid, I knew like I watched a lot of TV with my mom. And so I knew like I'd come home from school on a Monday and be like, oh, we watch this show on Mondays. And then on Thursdays, we watch this show. And so it's essential nostalgia for me too. I love that Disney's doing it. They're the only ones that does it. And it's a great way to stay in shape.
Awesome. Speaking of staying in shape, I've been drinking a little extra coffee, trying to go less cream, less sweetener, trying to drink it a little darker. Harley, I know you would appreciate that. You're a big coffee guy. I'm trying to stay away from the Starbucks, like the dessert drinks. I saw a meme today that reminded me of you, that it's like some girl has like a huge caramel frappuccino or something, and it's like, oh my gosh, I love coffee. And then somebody's like, that's dessert. You don't like coffee. You like dessert.
You like dessert. Yeah.
And so I thought of you today. And as I was drinking my coffee and reading my coffee meme, and you yourself have made your own coffee in the past. I don't know if you're still doing it regularly, but I had to make that connection for Kendall, who doesn't ever enjoy talking about Marvel or Star Wars.
Yeah, we got to pull Kendall back into the
and I'm sure would love to talk to you.
Oh, are we still recording?
You were trying, Harley, you were trying so hard when we worked together to teach me about coffee with your fancy little French press, and you would teach me about beans roasting, and I don't know, but it lost on me, not lost on a lot of our listeners and Kendall. And so tell me a little bit about, your time roasting, and then you and Kendall can hit it off a little bit.
Yeah, it's been a very dangerous hobby because, well, okay, twofold. I keep buying things that are expensive, so that's dangerous. And two, roasting coffee is like actually dangerous. I almost like caught my roaster on fire like not very long ago. And so that was kind of cool. But I started roasting a while ago, and I did it because I just wanted to see if I could, I liked coffee, and I was like, I wonder if I can just sell coffee. Let's see what happens. And I was able to sell a lot of it. I had a meeting with this really good designer and then never called him. That's how successful my business was. And what I didn't account for is how much work it is to roast a lot of coffee at once when you don't have a giant coffee roaster. And so I started out on an old fashioned popcorn popper, and I could roast 4 ounces of beans at a time. And then I started using a whirly pop, and I've been using a whirly pop for a long time. And I just got a Benmore, which is a prosumer roaster. I can do up to 1 pound in it, and it's automatic, and it's super cool. But that's the one that's really dangerous because the goal, coffee is a lot like wood, and the fact that it's the way the cells are. And so it's super combustible. And so when you roast it, you want to try to get it as hot as you can, as quickly as you can, but you're also really close to setting it on fire. So one time I just got it, and I'm like, I've been doing this a while. I'll be able to roast, no problem, whatever. This isn't any different. So it's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm trying to roast it, and I wanted to go a little darker. And then all of the sudden I lose track of the beans. I open up the door, and my whole house fills with smoke. My smoke detector goes off. My daughter wakes up. I mean, it was a whole thing, and it's winter, and the only thing I could do is open up my sliding door and just set a box fan on and try to get the smoke out of the house. So it was sweet, man.
So you can try his burn down the house blend now available.
That's crazy.
But Kendall, I've been excited to talk to you about coffee ever since I heard in an episode a long time ago, you say something along the lines of, sometimes I go into Starbucks, and when I see the barista, I think I know more about this than you do.
Right.
And that's all I needed to know. So I can't wait to talk more.
Yeah. Well, so I've never gotten into roasting. I'm aware of some of the ways that people do it at home, but I've never done it myself. Maybe that's the next step for me. I don't know.
I'll do it.
I don't have much interest in going that far. As long as I can get a hold of freshly roasted stuff, which is why I always thought I'm not snobbish about it. I'll drink anything. I'll drink a dirty cup of coffee from a diner and enjoy it. That's fine. When I'm making it myself, I make what I want to make. Right? Is my basic attitude toward it. However, I just always want to there's this piece of me that wants to call out hypocrisy in what I have seen as snobbish Starbucks employee behavior, them going online, making fun of customers because customers don't know anything about coffee. And I just want to shout from the rooftops to all of those Starbucks employers, the coffee that you are making is 100% as stale as the coffee that McDonald's is making. You guys don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're doing. You know how to put together dessert, as Dylan put it, and you can make a cup of coffee that's good, but not heads and tails better than Burger King, right? So
once you're making it at that scale, your only option is to burn it when you roast it, and then of course it's going to go stale. I've heard that Wendy's coffee tastes a little bit like beef. And so as long as you're not doing that, I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. I mean, I understand it's a warehousing thing and a taste thing. Trying to get fresh produce is much more difficult than trying to get canned or frozen. Right. And so it makes sense that the way our coffee economy works supply chain works is it gets stored in warehouses already roasted. Otherwise you're up against a clock. You roast it and then it's got to be in someone's cup within the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So Harley, have you ruled out the possibility of doing something in the future with your idea? Can we talk about that? I don't want to give away your awesome name and idea.
We can talk about it. I think what I learned is it's hard to be profitable in coffee at a small scale. Mm-hmm. And so you really have to do it, you need to be able to roast coffee in bulk. That's really that's the only way to do it sustainably. And so I my long-term dream one day is to open up a coffee shop and do it at scale. And ideally, like I'll be independently wealthy or something because I'll get hit by a car and like have a settlement or whatever. Sweet. And then I'll be able to use that money to start my coffee shop and like not need it to like be that profitable because it's hard to be profitable, but I'll just have like a cool place to hang out and be like, hey, let's just go to my coffee shop. And so, yeah, I absolutely would love to do it one day.
Amen. Well, I love Dylan. I remember Dylan telling me the name and sort of the heartbeat behind the idea behind the name, and you don't have to reveal that now, but I thought that was cool. And if you start it up, I'll be there. So I'm
going to reveal it. It's called Meaningful Coffee. And the reason I was calling it Meaningful Coffee is because what matters to me when it comes to coffee is like, of course I want to have a good cup, but almost every time I have a cup of coffee, something else is happening, right? Be it I'm reading in the morning or getting ready for my day, or like so many important meetings I've had, whether it's professionally or personally, have always happened over coffee. And so the goal is to brand that moment and to really like think about not just this moment is important, but what I'm drinking is important too. And so my original inspiration is I had blends that I was crafting, or I would do single origin with, flavor profiles that I thought would fit those moments. And then on the back of the bag, I was printing questions for either discussion or for you to just personally ponder. And I want to keep those. I was going to keep those fresh. So those questions would get recycled. So you'd have new questions every time you picked up a new bag. And then I even thought eventually in my coffee shop, I could take that same thing and expand it. And so I would have areas in my coffee shop for those kinds of things. This is the area where you go for your morning study, and the mood is set for that. The lighting's right? This one's for conversation, go have a Bible study over here, have your business meeting in the back. Like that was kind of the vision for the whole thing. And just focus on coffee as a experience and really think about the moments was the dream.
I love that. And if nothing else, this episode can now act as the moment timestamp in time where you said it out loud. And so if it ever gets stolen, you can now prove that you thought about it way before this day, but at least on this day. So we're good.
That's right. Glad I got it out.
I love the idea.
Coffee is good stuff.
Shall we?
Yeah, dude. I could talk about it for way too long. It's hilarious. My wife knows way more about coffee than she cares to and doesn't even drink it. And so she'll get a whiff of coffee and be like, "Oh, that's crap." And it's like, but she's learned, and it's hilarious.
So my wife is so when we got married, she was using a Keurig, which she doesn't anymore. And she told me last night that I turned her off to Keurigs now. We sold it a long time ago or gave it away. I don't know what. But she's like, you broke me. Keurigs are just so darn convenient. And I don't like the stuff that comes out of a Keurig anymore. And she's never been a black coffee drinker. So, and she doesn't like the stuff that I'm making at all. She likes flavored coffee, which there's a flavored coffee smell and a flavored coffee flavor that is present in all flavored coffees. I don't know much about the makeup of flavored coffee, but there is a universal flavor that goes along with flavored coffee. So it tastes like dirty socks and vanilla, and so there's even flavored coffees that she says she now recognizes that flavor, which she never had before. Yeah. And it turned her off to a lot of them. And anyway, so she's French pressing flavored coffee now in the mornings, which I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Oh gosh, dude.
But
that just sounds like more dirty sock taste.
I yeah.
What's the point?
But I mean, she likes it. Different strokes.
Hey, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
But it is.
Did you see the disgust in my face when he said that?
Hey, trust me. It doesn't go unsaid in our house.
It'll be documented on YouTube, Harley. It's fine. She can watch it over and over.
There you go. Yeah.
Kendall, do you still do the subscription? Do you get your fresh grounds
No, well, not anymore. So, no, I buy mostly actually from a little place. If you've heard of it, called Backroom Coffee Roasters.
I have heard of it. It rings a bell.
Yeah.
I've been there. Nice guys.
Super nice guys.
That's where most of my stuff comes from. It's from them. There's a coffee shop up near where I live in Gahanna that roasts their own, and so sometimes actually only once have I ever gotten from there.
Are you buying whole bean and grinding at home, or do you buy?
Oh, of course, yeah.
All right, cool. What grinder do you have?
I've got a Breville burr grinder.
All right. I just got a fellow Ode, and I am so excited about it. And I keep trying to talk to people about it, and they're like, "Dude, shut up! I don't care." But it's amazing, dude.
Yeah, it is fun. Like I just got for Christmas. I got an electric gooseneck kettle. Whereas before I was, boiling water in the old kettle, and then I was decanting it into a stovetop kettle, gooseneck kettle to do my pour overs, and now I don't have to do that step, and it's fun.
You guys lost me.
Yeah, we lost most of the listeners, I think, too. I don't know. I will say one thing. Somebody asked me the other day, like, why I care so much about coffee, and it's like just morphed into a hobby. But I'm curious if you guys have anything like this. I've never experienced something that tasted so different when I just changed a few things about it.
Yeah,
and I think it just blew my mind. And so my experience with coffee was Folgers for like a long time, and then one time I made coffee in a French press, and it was still crappy coffee, but it tasted way better. And I was like, whoa, what is this? And as I've continued to go down that rabbit hole, everything I've done has like this small change. Like I got third wave water now, so I like add that into my water. Dramatically changes the way my coffee tastes. I went from a cheap grinder to a really nice one, and dramatically changed it again. And it's just like, this is crazy. Have you guys experienced anything like that, where just like these significant tweaks dramatically affect the outcome of something for you?
I mean, I don't know how you'll feel about this as coffee guys, but when I switched to loose leaf tea, I was like, whoa, this is a whole nother world. And what were the stores? Was it Tivana?
Yeah, Tivana, Starbucks bottom.
Yeah, like you'd go in there and they'd like let you smell the loose leaves, and but just the process of like learning and how to steep each one and for how long, and the flavor profiles that you would get and the smells that you would get, going from a guy who just had bagged tea to go to loose leaf tea was like, okay, I see why people get down on this.
Dylan, anything like that, or is everything just pretty vanilla for you?
I'm glad I can invite you on to get roasted.
It's getting there. It's getting there. He's red. He's a little red.
Roasted.
I really noticed when I would start adding more to my items at Taco Bell, the flavor profiles would just real explosion of flavors. I really wish. I'm sure I'll have an example like right after we like close this call and end the podcast. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's been something like that. I'm sure it's been. I'm a very much an amateur cook and foodie. I do not claim to be a foodie, like write a review, care to that level. I'm more of an enthusiastic amateur foodie. I think that's why I like Somebody Feed Phil, that docuseries, because he's a lot like I am, not there to criticize, just there to enjoy and experience different tiers of quality. I'm sure there are things that I've cooked with, both tools and ingredients over the years, that have really changed the quality of what I'm eating and my enjoyment level. But I don't have any specific examples, but like, when you go from junk pans to like stainless steel pans, when you go from like a really crappy cooking oil to a really nice, you're drizzling olive oil and you're not getting just this is meat seasoning with like a Walmart logo. And now you're getting like 4 or 5 different seasonings because you notice the flavor profiles more. Like, ooh, that one definitely has more garlic in it. I love the fresh ground black pepper. So I'm sure I've experienced that to a degree with food, but I can't think really specific stuff. Maybe that is just my answer in its entirety. Just slowly upgrading tools and ingredients over time to improve. And
hey, didn't you get a Ninja Foodie
Yeah, I am so far out of my league on that thing. It's crazy. But we've been using it a lot more as we're trying to eat healthier. So we're trying to figure out there's like 10 different settings. I don't know what even, a lot of these are like 2-in-1 or 3-in-1. This is like 9-in-1. And so I'm like learning even how to use, like, we're just mostly using bake and like air crisp, or I think is essentially like being an air fryer. And so just playing around with that and how much oil do you need and what's the right amount of seasoning. So we're doing lots of like lean meats and tons of vegetables. And we're just putting it in this like fry basket. So the oil falls through the basket, but we're still baking it. So like the oil's in there, we're stirring it and we're seasoning it, but it's not sitting in oil. And so it's good, man. It's crazy. We've not turned on our oven in weeks. And we're only eating at home right now. So
have you thought about getting rid of your oven?
I'm contemplating it. I need the stovetop still though. I think for certain things, like I'm sure I could throw eggs in the Ninja Foodie, but like I haven't figured that setting out yet. So like I'm still cooking eggs on stovetop. But I could probably get just a little countertop griddler or something. Well, I have a griddler actually. So it's, but yeah,
think of all the space you would save.
Yeah, that's true.
No kidding. Yeah. You
More
could put a little,
countertops.
you could get your little, remember that little hangout nook that you created at your office that got taken away from you?
Yeah.
You can put one in your kitchen.
Yeah, we could do Mega Desk in the kitchen.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate. Yeah, we have the Ninja Foodie 9-in-1. It's cool. If you are listening and you know how to use that or have certain recipes and things that you like, and this is like, he didn't read the instructions. No, I read it. I don't understand. Does not compute because there's like so much stuff I've never even tried to cook or do before. So it's super cool though, man. It's a really nice tool that I am barely scratching the surface of.
Speaking of Ninja, real quick, there's because this is going to help somebody. Most of you probably know I have a 6-year-old and 2 5-year-olds who live with me and eat my food, and they make a lot of noise. And recently they have been pretending to be ninjas and fighting and jumping and screaming and hi-yahing all over the house. And my dad brain went, hold on a minute. I called him over. I was like, guys, one of the most important thing about ninjas is you don't want people to know that you're a ninja. Ninjas are very quiet. They're known for being able to sneak up on people. For the past 2 days, all 3 of my kids have been playing quiet ninjas. They've been sneaking around the house. They've been in the room and I didn't even know. And for them, it was a fun game. Like the point was for me to not know that they were in the room. So
well done.
You did it.
Bravo.
There it is.
You wouldn't know this, Kendall, because you're usually on stage leading worship on Sunday mornings when I sometimes teach the Sunday school class.
Yeah.
That's the thing that I do when I walk them from the upstairs classrooms down to the sanctuary.
Oh, yeah?
I say, guys, remember, what does Mr. Corey like to do? We pretend like we're ninjas. And so that's how I lead them down into the sanctuary so they don't disrupt you. While
you're why they caught on so quick then. Like when I told it, it was just like the light bulb goes off. Oh, Mr. Corey.
Oh, yeah, the ninja thing. You're welcome.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful
Have they
stuff.
started using weapons in your home yet?
I mean, if they promise to stay quiet, I'll give them whatever they want.
Nerf ninja stars. Hey, where else do you get this kind of variety? Not on Renaissance Radio, I'll tell you that.
Which you should still definitely go listen to.
But also good luck, Jeremy Kester. But also not.
I mean, just remember us. Remember us, Jeremy.
Yeah, because you've already eclipsed us. Hey, Harley, thanks for coming on, man, and talking about a whole variety of things. If you have tips for Dylan on his Ninja Foodie 9-in-1, if you're a venture capitalist and want to get down on Meaningful Coffee and support them so Harley doesn't have to get hit by a vehicle. If you have thoughts on WandaVision, we would love to hear from you. You can reach out on social media. We are at From the Mid Pod everywhere, or send us a voice message by going to anchor.fm/fromthemidpod/message. Or is it from the
Wow.
middle / message? We'll post
idea.
it. We'll
That
post
is
the link below.
convoluted as-
Yeah, we'll post it below. Reach out, hang out. If you have a beard or like to take care of yourself as a man, go to artiusman.com. That's ARTIUSMAN.com. Fill your cart full of men's grooming products and use the code the middle at checkout to get 25% off your first order.
Freaking 25% off your whole order is ridiculously good.
Guys, if I can add in, I didn't have facial hair before this call started.
Look at him now. Look at him now.
Wow, yeah.
Look at me now. Thanks, Artius, man.
Thanks, Artius, man.
Harley, any parting thoughts for us, buddy?
Nope, I'm all out, guys.
All right. Thanks so much for joining. Thank you for everyone for tuning into episode 85 of From the Middle.
Thanks, dudes.
Good stuff.
86, 85.
85. 85.